Good morning, students. After a long time, again we are meeting to discuss about the opportunistic mycotic infections. You already learned the superficial, subcutaneous, and systemic mycosis. Now we are going to see what are the opportunistic mycosis or mycotic infections. Generally, sometimes we deal with yeast-like mycelial and dimorphic fungi, molds or dimorphic fungi. But clinically, it is better to know in this format what we are going to teach. That is superficial mycosis, subcutaneous mycosis, deep mycosis, systemic mycosis, and then opportunistic mycosis. Before going to this lecture, I want to inform you that we are going to have a second internal assessment maybe in the month of August, first week or second week. We will send the notice to you, but prepare for it. Shortly, the notice will inform you what are the topics that are covered in each subject. For microbiology, you take it granted that we are going to ask you in the second internal assessment exam parasitic infections or parasitology and systematic bacteriology. These two chapters you are going to face in the second internal assessment, where you will get 50 MCQs for 50 minutes or 1 hour time. So prepare for it and inform other friends through your contacts about this, because only today 4 people attended. The remaining 3 people, you have to intimate them. Tomorrow if they come, I will also intimate the same. The opportunistic fungal infections and mycotoxins. This is very important topic as far as exam is concerned, and also very important for your routine life. You will see among the fungal infections in routine patients, the opportunistic fungal infections. What are these opportunistic fungal infections? These are infections which are found in patients with underlying predisposing conditions like immunosuppressive. If they are taking corticosteroids or any immunosuppressive drug, they are most inviting patients for opportunistic fungal infections. Then malignancy and treatment of malignancy. Immunosuppressive therapy during implants or any other problem, AIDS and HIV, burns, diabetes, and in dialysis patients. So in these individuals, these opportunistic fungal infections are more common. Whereas in normal people, you won't see, like me or like you won't see these infections, even though they are abundant in the atmosphere. What are these fungi? This is the condition we called as candidiasis or candidosis or moniliasis by Candida, cryptococcosis or porullosis by Cryptococcus neoformans, aspergillosis by Aspergillus species, pneumocystosis by Pneumocystis jirovecii, penicillinosis by Penicillium morpheri, and zygomycosis, where you will see Mucor, Rhizopus, and Absidia, and other miscellaneous small amount of other fungi. What is cryptococcosis? You already know. during classification. This is yeast. So the main important species here is Cryptococcus neoformans, where you have 5 serotypes A, B, C, D, A, D. Other species include Cryptococcus albidus, Cryptococcus laurenti. These are very minimal, but the main organism is Cryptococcus neoformans. It is ubiquitous in nature. I told you everywhere this is present, but you are not getting the infection, or I am not getting the infection, because these infections are seen only in the immunocompromised. And there are plenty in pigeon droppings. అంటే పౌరాలు ఇళ్ళ విండోస్ మీద గట్రా ఉంటాయి, అక్కడ plenty of pigeon droppings వేస్తుంటాయి. Nobody cleans that outside. So there is a possibility if somebody inhales those dry droppings, if he is immunocompromised, he may happen to get this cryptococcosis. Present in the nests, the old buildings. The route of entry is inhalation, sometimes through skin. Males are more predominant for this infection than females between age groups of 30 to 50, because the males will go out for work and everything. They are working in the surroundings where the pigeon droppings are there, and people between the age of 30 to 50, they will go commonly for the work. Coming to clinical features, you will see in lungs, CNS and skin is Cryptococcus infections, and it will cause respiratory pneumonitis. In the central nervous system, you will see meningitis, meningoencephalitis, and you will see on the skin cutaneous lesions and sometimes bone infection because of blood spread. You can see the pigeons are staying outside the windows and all of the old buildings, where they will put a lot of pigeon droppings, and these pigeon droppings contain this Cryptococcus neoformans. Laboratory diagnosis. The common specimens are CSF, sputum, exudates. The first thing is a direct examination of the organism by microscopy using Indianic preparation, which we call it as negative staining. So the surroundings are stained, but the organism is not stained, where you will see a bright lighted halo around the organism. That is the capsule, and this is the budding yeast. We can see the daughter yeast cell. This is the daughter yeast cell. These are the budding yeast with capsule. In the gram stain, you will show gram-positive budding yeast cells with capsule. This is gram-positive budding yeast cell. This white portion is the capsule, which was not stained by the gram stain. In the histopathology sections, stained with hematoxylin eosin and lactophenol cotton blue, you will see capsulated yeast. If you do culture on Sabrats dextrosaga, which you already learned in media, you will find mucoid, cream-colored colonies, which sometimes we will say butter colonies, butter, B-U-T-T-E-R, venna. Vanilla కనిపిస్తాయి అన్నమాట colonies. On bird seed agar, you will see brown colonies, whereas on STA, you will see cream colonies. On bird seed agar, you will see brown colonies. Biochemical reactions, it is urease positive, whereas Candida albicans, which is yeast-like fungus but appears like Cryptococcus neoformans without capsule, is urease negative. So this is the difference between Cryptococcus and Candida by doing urease test. Cryptococcus is urease positive, Candida is urease negative. There is Cryptococcus latex agglutination test is there, which detects the antigen of Cryptococcus neoformans, that is mainly the capsular antigen. Coming to antibody detection, you have agglutination test, indirect fluorescence test, complement fixation test, and animal pathogenicity. And the gold standard is polymerase chain reaction or PCR test. Treatment, the first and foremost important drug for the treatment is amphotericin B. You can also use flucytosine, imidazoles, that is meconazole and ketoconazole, triazoles, itraconazole, fluconazole, and voriconazole, and echinocandins, that is latest antifungal drugs, caspofungin and micafungin. But amphotericin B is the commonest drug used for the treatment. Now we learnt about yeast in the opportunistic fungal infections. Now coming to yeast-like candida, that is causing candidiasis. Sometimes we call candidosis, and sometimes we call moniliasis. Whatever may be the name, these are the infections caused by Candida species, mainly Candida albicans. The causative agent is yeast-like fungi, that is Candida albicans, and also Candida tropicalis, Candida styletoidea, Candida krusei, Candida parapsilosis, Candida gabrata. This is normal flora of the skin and mucous membranes and gastrointestinal tract. So, these are commonly present where you will find mucous membranes. So when you stain, if you find these organisms, you should not feel these are the infective organisms. So the number is very important. In the normal flora, this Candida species will be seen in less numbers, whereas if it is infection, you will see plenty of yeast-like fungi, that is Candida species. Coming to morphology, oval or spherical budding yeast cells 3 to 5 micrometers. Sometimes it's pseudohyphae. I will show later what is pseudohyphae. And very occasionally true hyphae. Clinical features. So lesions caused by Candida species, mainly Candida albicans, is divided into different sections. So the first one is mucocutaneous lesions. So it is commonly infective at the mucous membrane sites and mucocutaneous junctions. So oral candidiasis, oral thrush, esophageal candidiasis causing infection of esophagus, vulvovaginitis causing vulvitis and vaginitis. Sometimes we call it as a white discharge. Balanitis, the infection of the glans penis, and balanoprostatitis, that is infection of the glans penis and also the skin covering the glans penis. So these two infections are seen. We will call balanoprostatitis. It is not infection of the prostate. Conjunctivitis and keratitis. The second part is skin and nail infections. Skin infections at moist sites only, that is axilla, groins, perineum, sub-mammary folds, clefts of toes and fingers when they are not open for the open air. If your fingers are always covered with gloves or something, and your toes are always covered with socks, then there is a possibility of infections in the clefts of toes and fingers. And frequent immersion of hands in water, infection of finger webs, nail folds, and nails. So, in our house, our mothers and grandmothers have the common problem where their nails are infected and finger webs are infected. And you find any washer, men or women comes to your house for taking your clothes for washing and ironing. You can see the frequent, because of the frequent immersion of hands in water, you will see infection of the finger webs, nail folds, and nails. Infants, napkin dermatitis, that is diaper rash. If you don't change hours together, the diaper, the baby may get diaper rash, which you will see later in a photograph. What is diaper rash? Third one is chronic mucocutaneous candidiasis. If the infection is chronic, you will see at the junction of the lips, some people have constantly having some white color. That is mucocutaneous candidiasis. Coming to the fourth one, systemic candidiasis, you will have urinary tract infections, mainly the diabetics, intestinal candidiasis with immunocompromised, pulmonary candidiasis in immunocompromised, hepatosplenic candidiasis with carcinoma of liver or spleen, endocarditis in the immunocompromised, meningitis in the immunocompromised, endophthalmitis in the immunocompromised, and arthritis, osteomyelitis, and candidemia also in the immunocompromised. Laboratory diagnosis, you have to take specimens from the lesions, exudates or transudates from the lesions, or patches from mucous membranes. That is what we call pseudomembranes. So this is commonly seen in diphtheria. You already learned diphtheria in the systematic bacteriology. Pseudomembrane, tough pseudomembrane, white pseudomembrane is formed on the tonsils. So such membranes you have to collect here also. A pseudomembrane and a true membrane, I told so many times the difference. When you peel it, the membrane, if it bleeds, it is real membrane. When there is no bleeding, the mucous membrane comes very easily, that is pseudomembrane. Skin and nail scrapings from the mouth, from the esophagus, from the vagina, you have to take the secretions. First, direct evidence. So you will do a gram stain with these specimens. You will see gram-positive budding yeast cells. In the KOH mount, you will see budding yeast cells. Sometimes you will see pseudohyphae, which I am going to show what is pseudohyphae. This part you have to remember carefully. Demonstration of only abundant presence is of significance, as they may present in normal flora in small numbers. These are the gram-positive budding yeast cells. You can see the budding yeast cell, budding yeast cell, budding yeast cell, budding yeast cell. And here you can see a thread-like structures. They are pseudohyphae. They are arising from the budding yeast cells. So the difference between pseudohyphae and true hyphae is the presence of nuclei. If nuclei are present, those are called as true hyphae. When there are no nuclei, we call it as pseudohyphae. You can see these are all the pseudohyphae arising from the budding yeast cells, but you will not find any nuclei. You will not find any nuclei. Now germ tube. What is germ tube? We will learn later when we come to preparation of germ tube test. Culture. You can see buttery colonies, creamy buttery colonies. It is just like butter. And you have to use Sabarot's dextrose agar. As you know, it contains 40% dextrose and acidic pH. You have to grow at 25 to 37 degrees centigrade for 1 to 2 days. You will find cream colored smooth pasty colonies, otherwise we call it as buttery colonies. If you stain with lactophenol cotton blue, budding yeast cells with pseudohyphae are seen. The enlarged one, the buttery colonies of Candida albicans. Identification. The Candida albicans, which forms 90% of the infections from the Candida species, is differentiated from other species of Candida, which also cause infection, by doing a germ tube test, otherwise called Reynolds-Broad phenomena. This Reynolds-Broad phenomena germ tube test is very important short note to exam. For that, you have to take fresh rabbit serum, preferably, and you have to add 1 or 2 colonies of Candida species under test. Incubate at 37 degrees for 1.5 hours. And after 1 hour and 1.5 hours, you take small amount of the serum and put it on a cover slip, put it on a slide and put cover slip and observe. You will see tube-like structures from the budding yeast cells, and if this, which is called germ tube, is present, you can call it as Candida albicans. If no germ tube, this is other species other than Candida albicans. And the second test is chlamydospore test. Grow this Candida species on cornmeal agar and incubate at 20 degrees centigrade in a BOD incubator, and you will find the formation of large spherical chlamydospores, which are the characteristic feature of Candida albicans, but not other Candida species. And you can also do carbohydrate fermentation and dissemination tests, which are costly, generally not done in normal laboratories, including our laboratory. We will do this Candida albicans germ tube test and formation of chlamydospores to show the organism is Candida albicans. Sometimes you will use human sera instead of rabbit sera for this germ tube test, but you may fail sometimes the formation of germ tube, even though it is Candida albicans, because the presence of antibodies in that individual for Candida albicans. So these are the germ tubes. So if you just soak Bengal gram or green gram for 1 day or 2 days, you will see the sprouting roots. మనం ఉదయం తింటుంటాం, చాలా మంది తింటుంటారు, మొలకలు అంటారు, మొలకలు. సో ఈ మొలకల్లా కనిపిస్తాయి. This is a pseudohyphae. You will not see any nuclei here. If you do a gram stain, you can see these are the pseudohyphae. You will not see any nuclei. These are the chlamydospores, the big spores. When the Candida albicans is grown on cornmeal agar, you will find like this, and these are the pseudohyphae without any nuclei. The fourth one is skin test, very rarely done, which indicates the CMI of the individual, because Candida and other fungal infections are protected by cell-mediated immunity. Treatment First of all, you have to remove the predisposing factors like diabetes or stopping of immunosuppressive agents. And for superficial fungal infections, topical applications of nystatin or imidazole is used. For systemic infections, amphotericin B plus 5-fluorocytosine is used. Whereas in case of candida, in case of cryptococcosis, you will use only amphotericin B. Here you have to use both amphotericin B as well as 5-fluorocytosine. Coming various clinical features of candida infection. This is candida onychomycosis. Onychomycosis, where commonly seen in diabetic patients and people who frequently keeps their fingers and toes in the water, like our mother or grandmother or the washer woman or washer man. Endophthalmitis. Systemic candidiasis on the neonates who are generally born with immunocompromisation. This is fungal endocarditis, that is due to candida, and this is mucocutaneous candidiasis at the junction of the two lips. You can see when you observe some elderly people above 50 years of age, you will see white small patch-like structures on both corners of the mouth. That is chronic mucocutaneous candidiasis. Candidiasis on the lips. Systemic candidiasis. Candidial glossitis or infection of the tongue, and infection of the web spaces, where you can see in the fingers, which is very common. I told you, the people using their hands very oftenly in the water. Also webs, and also web spaces, as well as you can see the nails. Candida infected nails. And this is the web spaces, you can see excessively infected. This is where the moisture is there. This is the groin, where you can see the candidial infection. Below the memory folds, because below the folds of the memory gland, where commonly the moisture is seen. In the folds, you can see the enlarged way. And balanitis, that is mainly the glans penis. And the melanopostitis, the glans penis, as well as the skin over the penis is also infected. Melanopostitis, vulvovaginitis with white discharge, vulvovaginitis with white discharge, onychomycosis, the Nile infection, Nile infection, Nile infection, Nile infection, Nile infection, and this is diaper rash, where the skin of the buttocks and also on the front part will become red because of the candidal infection. This is the diaper rash. A systematic or systemic candidiasis. glossitis or whorl thrush, we call it as whorl thrush, whorl thrush, whorl thrush, systemic candidiasis of a child, endophthalmitis, infection of the skull. Now this is about Candida albicans causing candidiasis along with other minor species. Coming to aspergillosis. So we are learning one by one. One is yeast, that is Cryptococcus. Yeast-like is candidosis. Now molds, it is aspergillosis. Aspergillus, penicillium, commonly cause moldy infections as opportunistic mycosis. Now what is this aspergillosis? It is a systemic and superficial fungal infection caused by several species of the genus Aspergillus. 3 of them frequently encountered, that is Aspergillus fumigatus, Aspergillus niger, Aspergillus flavus. It is ubiquitous in nature. I told you it is everywhere it is present. We are inhaling plenty of these spores routinely, but we are not getting any infection unless we have some problem of immunocompromisation and other predisposing conditions. Also present in soil and also present in the decaying plants. Route of entry is through inhalation and through skin by the spores. The clinical infections include lung infection, what we call as allergic aspergillosis, which looks like asthma, and aspergilloma, a ball-like structure in the lung forming in the cavities, and invasive aspergillosis, which will grow throughout the lung because of the predisposing conditions, and central nervous system infections, keratomycosis in the eye, nasal sinuses infections, mainly paranasal sinus, cutaneous infections on the skin, and endocarditis in the heart. Coming to lab diagnosis, specimen collection, you will collect sputum, bronchoalveolar lavage or bronchoalveolar lavage, transbronchial biopsy, pus or skin biopsy you have to take for the diagnosis. First of all, for direct evidence, you will do KOH preparation, where you will see hyaline septate hyphae with dichomatous branching, and CFW stain, that is chalcofluor white stain. Previously, the same stain we call it as tinopal. Now the tinopal is not present now. For making the white clothes bright, we used to use tinopal. That is also chalcofluor white staining, and you will see fluorescence when observed under fluorescent microscope. Histopathological sections you can do by PAS stain or GMS stain. You will see acute angle at 45 degrees dichomatous branching. Observations in the biopsy. This is lactophenol cotton blue preparation, where you can see the fungal structures with spores. Laboratory diagnosis, culture on Sabrad dextrose agar at 25 degrees centigrade and 37 degrees centigrade. They will give or produce a colony, Aspergillus niger with black color, Aspergillus flavus with green color, Aspergillus fumigatus with dark green color. And you can also do a slide culture technique, which we will explain during the practical part. We don't know, this may be explained online or offline depending on the future developments of the COVID-19, but you will understand more when we practically explain by doing either in the Zoom when you are online or in our practical hall when you are offline. So this is a slide culture techniques where you will see the morphology of any fungus very clearly and you can diagnose up to species level. You can see, you will find septate hyphae. You can see the septum. From the hyphae, you will get the conidiophore. And on the conidiophore, you have a ball-like structure that is vesicle. And from the vesicle, you will find the sun ray appearance like structures, that is sterigma. And over the sterigma, you will see the conidia or spore. Conidia or the spore. For antigen or antibody detection, you have latex agglutination test, ELISA or radioimmunoassay or immunoblotting. You have PCR test and aspergillin skin test. And for treatment, you have to use amphotericin B like in other fungal infections and voriconazole. But amphotericin B is the drug of choice. You can see aspergilloma in the lung cavity where a ball-like structure is present formed by Aspergillus niger or fumigatus or flavus. And this is a CT scan where you can see a ball-like structure in the lung cavity. A black scar-like structure on the skin of an individual infected with Aspergillus. And this is Aspergillus infection in endocardium and myocardium of the individual infected with Aspergillus. He is immunocompromised. And this is Aspergillus keratitis. Aspergillus keratitis, where you will see interest of the conjunctiva. This is a stain used, a fluorescent stain used, because there is a discontinuity of the conjunctiva and the stain was taken, and indirectly it shows there is a fungal infection of the conjunctiva, and later it will become keratitis, go to keratinic parts, and blindness due to Aspergillus in eye infection. Now, penicilliosis. Now, generally, all penicillins, what we know, will produce an antibiotic, penicillin. But a penicillin species, which was recently found, causing infection in immunocompromised, especially HIV patients. Previously, such infections, we call it as tularomycosis, but now we call it as a penicilliosis. The species Penicillium morniffi is responsible for this infection. Penicillium morniffi is very important short note in the exam. The penicillium present in environment, various substrates like bread, jam, fruit, and cheese. So you will keep bread for 3 or 4 days, or jam or the fruits outside on the table. You will find various molds infecting the surfaces. If you find a white mold, this may be due to penicillin. These are common airborne contaminants of the culture media. Unique among penicillium, true pathogen, and this is dimorphic, very peculiar. Even though it is under molds, it shows the property of dimorphism. You know already what is meant by dimorphism, because there are two states. In one state, it appears as mold with hyphae, whereas in other state, it appears as yeast-like cells. They cause skin lesions, disseminated infections in immunocompromised. So the peculiar property is dimorphism, just I told you. The dimorphic fungi are fungi that can exist in the form of both molds as well as yeast. An example is Penicillium morniferi, a human pathogen that grows as a mold at room temperature, giving hyphae-like structures, and as a yeast at human body temperature. So in the body, they appear as yeast, but outside in the culture, at the room temperature, they appear as molds. In the lab diagnosis, you will find yeast-like cells, oval 2 to 4 micrometers in diameter, or septate hyphae with branched conidiophores, 2 rows of sterigmata bearing chain of spores, which looks like brush border or brooms. I will show the diagram, then you will understand what is this brush border or broom. On Sabouraud's dextrozaga, mycelia forms or produces red diffusible pigment. You can see around the growth. On the reverse side, you will see a red color. And this is the conidiophore. These are the sterigmata, or sometimes we called phyalides. And then over that, you will find conidia. And this look like brush appearance or broom appearance. You can see brush appearance or broom appearance. And also this produces septate hyphae. In the specimen, you will see yeast-like cells. As I told you, it is having a special property of dimorphism. In the body temperature, they produce yeast-like cells, whereas in the room temperature, they produce mycelia. Treatment is intravenous amphotericin B or by using oral itraconozoles. In the coming class, tomorrow at 10 o'clock, we discuss about the zygomycosis and mycotoxins. Are there any doubts regarding this lecture? Now, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people are there. Again, I'm informing you that you have a second internal assessment exam in the first or second week of August, for which we will send the notice with details. As far as microbiology is concerned, you have to prepare in parasitology and systematic bacteriology. You will have around 50 MCQs for which you have to answer to get this second internal assessment.